Today, on Be Something Wonderful, manifest from the I Am vertical, transcending 3D opposites. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. Big video this morning. I want to talk about this client that in our session yesterday, she was very excited. She goes, Tom, I finally think I get what it means to manifest from within the I Am vertical, from being within that alignment with your higher self. We're going to talk about this today because when in our earlier sessions, she was perceiving these conditions or experiencing these conditions, her assumptions that she wasn't being recognized, that she wasn't being prioritized, that she wasn't being respected by her husband, by her colleagues at work, and to some extent by her friends, right? She felt stuck, or in other words, polarized by the circumstances, right? She would be on one end imagining and hoping and affirming things are different, and then see some movement in that direction, see some evidence of that. But then she would look out and see evidence that it wasn't working, and then she'd start to have a doubt. So she'd swing back to, oh, it hasn't changed. This isn't working. She would resign to that, right? Want to give up, but can't give up that desire. Still wanted to be respected. And then would swing back to the other side of the pendulum, where she was feeling, okay, I'm gonna imagine this differently. I'm gonna see it differently, and then would see movement. But then would look out there and see, and then create this evidence that it's not moving, and then swing back on the doubt, the other side of the pendulum. I'm going to show this today. She held the assumption of I am not. I'm not recognized, I'm not prioritized, I'm not respected, especially at work with her husband, but also with her friends. She held that assumption while desiring the opposite. Do you see it? She still had that assumption that she's not, but she desired, she imagined, she affirmed the opposite and would see movement, right? But remember, she was really wanted that change. So she felt that there was an attachment to that desire. There's an attachment to that outcome. And as she got strongly attached to seeing, to wanting to be recognized, wanting to be prioritized, wanting to be respected, she would at the same time doubt that it could happen. And she would swing back to the other side where it's no use. I'm never going to be recognized. I'm never going to be, no matter how much I imagine it. I'm going to show this today, right? So she held that. So the movement, she would get some movement. Things would be hot and cold. Right? Things would change, and then she felt that they would revert back to the same, right? She felt stuck or polarized within the conditions, but here's the thing. It's the other way around. Those conditions are within you. They're stuck within you because you haven't changed. It's you swinging back and forth between the attachment to really desiring it, really wanting it to change, to the doubt and fear that it won't change, and that you'll end up to unwanted conditions, the negative attachment. So from positive attachment to negative attachment. I'm going to show this today, right? And she would look for evidence out there where it hasn't changed, and then create that evidence, right? She would put that evidence out there that it hasn't changed, even while she's getting evidence that it has changed, that she is changing. Let's show this today. So I wanted to show this because she really got this idea now that she's experiencing changes throughout all areas, with her husband, with her colleagues, and with her friends. Why? What's going on? Well, she now is in the sweet spot. She's in the manifesting sweet spot. She's in the vertical. She's no longer swinging between positive attachment and negative attachment. The positive attachment that I really want it. I'm desiring that desire. I really want that to happen, right? Imagining it and affirming it. But at the same time, she'll doubt it. Doubt that it will happen. See evidence that it hasn't happened, right? You doubt and fear that you won't get what you want, or you'll end up with what you don't want. So she was just swinging with the pendulum between those attachments, between the positive attachment and the negative attachment. Never, always feeling stuck that the conditions, remember, the conditions are always new in every moment, but they're going to look a lot like the same. and like they haven't changed as you swing between this idea of really desiring it, really trying to affirm it, imagine it, but really needing it to change, that positive attachment, and the negative attachment of the doubt and fear that it won't change, or you'll end up with what you don't want. Right? So forever swinging, desperately desiring and wanting and needing something. Right? Remember, when you do that, that invokes the equally desperate desire not to have its opposite or not to be it. That's what it means by swinging with the pendulum. Right? You have this real need or desire, want something to be different here. Right? Then that invokes the equally desperate desire not to have or end up with its opposite. Do you see it? That's negative attachment. The positive attachment of desperately desiring it and wanting it, needing it to be different. Then the negative attachment is invoked, right? The opposite is invoked of the desperate desire not to be or have its opposite. So you start doubting it, right? Both extremes of the pendulum swing create inflated importance or excess potential. That energetic imbalance that Vadim Zeland talks about in reality transurfing. It invokes the law of opposites, where you experience an induced transition or shift to an unfavorable parallel alternative reality, or a reality where you're experiencing that unwanted reality. In both extremes, it happens. Right? Even as you're desiring and you see change, you swing back and have that doubt. Right? In the sweet spot, that's your desired reality. That's where things manifest and unfold according to your heart's desire. Do you see it? It's almost like here that you have that strong desire. Remember that desire is your heart's desire. It's the desire to experience yourself as source, to know yourself, to know what you know experientially as source. And that gets translated as this desiring your desire in the 3D reality, right? And that causes that separation between your heart and mind as you doubt it at the same time. You desire it, strongly want to know yourself as source, right? That's your heart's desire. That your inner being wants to know what it knows experientially in 3D reality. But we turn that divine urge into a desperate desiring, feeling lack. And remember, your heart's desire, or your desire of your inner being, or your higher self, is desiring to know itself as source from knowing that it's not separate from source. Do you see it? Knowing that it's already everything that it wants to be. And so it's choosing its desire versus desiring its desire. Do you see it? Because when you're desiring the desire strongly and have doubt about it, you're swinging between these two sides of the pendulum. You're creating separation between your heart and your mind, right? Your heart says, I really desire it. In other words, your inner being saying, I really desire to know experientially what I already know as a divine being. That I'm not separate from anything, that all my heart's desires are mine, that I'm already that person I want to be, that everything's already mine. I just need to choose what I want to experience now in this 3D experience. But we turn that divine urge into desiring the desire, into desperately desiring it, wanting it, need something. We're feeling lack of it, lack of the desire versus love of the desire. Your inner being feels the love of it. Right? It loves it. It chooses. It knows that it's choosing its desire. It's not desiring it. We're going to hit this a little bit more. Right? But there's that separation between heart and mind. Where is the unity? The unity is here in the vertical. Right? If you think about it, heart and mind, there's the unity right here in the vertical. Right? That in that manifesting sweet spot where you're no longer swinging to extremes. You're still moving within the I am vertical, but you're not swinging to extremes. Right? Because remember, when you desperately want something and need it, you invoke the equally desperate desire that not to be or have its opposite. So you swing between really desiring or wanting it and doubt that you can have it, or you'll end up from that positive attachment to that negative attachment. Both extremes of these pendulums create that inflated importance, create that excess potential, create that energetic imbalance that Vadim Zeland talks about that invokes the opposites, the law of polarity, right? As you swing between these two polar opposites. But remember, in the I am vertical, those extremes meet. There are no opposites in that higher reality, right? Hot meets cold, right? Good meets bad, high meets low. All of those meet in the vertical. So we're going to show this today. And what happens is you experience that induced transition that Vadim Zeland talks about, moving to a lifeline or reality where you continue to experience that undesired reality, what you don't want. So let's hit this a little bit more. Remember, your heart feels and knows. Your heart's desire feels good when it knows it's not separate from it. Do you see it? When you're choosing your desire, choosing to know yourself as source with your higher self, you're choosing what part of all that is that you want to experience. You're choosing what part of that fully evolved you that you want to experience now, right? The evolution, right? But when the mind has a thought or assumption of separation from its desired reality or identity, it doesn't feel good. Or in other words, it's a feeling of lack. Then this creates a division, a lack of unity between the heart and mind, where you swing between positive attachment and negative attachment, right? Never reaching the unity here in the vertical, right? So as you swing with the pendulum between really desiring it and then doubting it, that you can have it or be it. So you're really desiring it, and then you swing to doubting that you can have it or be it. You swing between those two polar opposites, right? And then even on that side, you give up temporarily in resignation. You get all the way over here, and you say, that's it. You give up in resignation. You don't surrender to your wish fulfilled. Here you're just saying, I give up, but you don't really give up. You still desire it. But you don't know what to do. You're just feeling defeated, exhausted. Right? And then you get this urge again, okay, I'll desire it again. I'll imagine it. I'll affirm it. But then you have doubt and you swing back here. Do you see it? So you get some movement and then no movement. He's here and then she's not here. Or you're being respected and you're not being respected. That's what's going on, right? As you're swinging with the pendulum between really desiring it and then doubting it, you can have it or be it. You give up temporarily in resignation, rather than surrendering to fulfillment in the sweet spot of the vertical. Here, you surrender to your wish fulfilled from that knowing. You're choosing your desires versus desiring your desires. We're going to show this a little bit more. When swinging between the extremes, you feel stuck, like you're not moving. This is where that idea is, I don't see movement. Remember, when you swing between extremes, it cancels each other out. That's why you feel stuck. That's why you feel like you're not moving, as the extremes cancel each other out. Yet nothing manifests, or it does for a short time and then it vanishes. You get that idea of hot and cold. Do you see it? Because you're going back and forth from strongly desiring to doubting it and fearing that it may not happen or I'll end up with what I don't want. So you're never in that sweet spot where it manifests, where those changes in your life you're experiencing and living them, right? You're stuck in the messy middle, reacting to the swing of the pendulum, right? But what's the key? What's your savior? That's your I am. It's the vertical or the manifesting sweet spot. Here's the difference that I pointed to earlier. It's the difference between desiring your desires, right? And from an assumption of lack and separation, creating a split between your heart and mind and choosing your desires for an assumption of fulfillment and unity of heart and mind. Do you see it? It's choosing your desires with your higher self as source, choosing what part of all that you are you want to experience next. That's powerful. That's the difference. This is very clear here. Right? Desiring your desires from an assumption of lack and separation, creating that split of heart and mind, or choosing your desires from an assumption of fulfillment and unity, creating that unity of heart-mind, creating that anomalous burst of energy where your heart and mind align. That's what choice does. That's what going to a firm decision to have it and be it. A firm decision that, you know what, I am loved, I am prioritized, I am respected. Because just by my nature, just by who I am, that's my assumption. Then things move. Then you move to that reality that shows you that. You move to that parallel reality. You have that anomalous burst of energy. You have alignment between heart and mind. You're no longer swinging between positive attachment and negative attachment, right? Between strongly desiring something, trying to imagine and affirm it in, versus doubting that it can happen and that you might end up with what you don't want. Very powerful. So remember, desiring your desires, you're focused on the assumption of non-fulfillment. You believe you lack something, need something to make you whole or healed. Versus choosing your desires, you're focused on fulfillment. You're focused on making a decision to experience in physical reality what you already feel and know to be true in your heart's desires. Remember, your heart feels and knows. You're making a choice to have that knowing experientially, to know what you already know experientially, making a decision to experience in physical reality what you already feel and know to be true in your heart or your heart's desire, right? Think of it this way. You're choosing it's a divine urge with your higher self. That's the divine urge to know yourself as life, to know yourself as source, right? To have that knowing experientially in 3D reality. So you are choosing with your higher self and inner being to know what you already know experientially, to know yourself as source, as the I am or source of your reality, right? Remember, desire, the whole thing about desire, when you have a desire is that 3D linear translation, right? That feeling of your higher self choosing what part of the fully evolved divine you it wants to know or experience next. That's what desire is. We talked about this whole idea that it's spillovers from other versions of you. Do you see? Because you're experiencing all of it right now, so it's just you. Right? It's 3D, it's that desire is that 3D linear translation or feeling of your higher self choosing. What part of the fully evolved you choosing with your higher self, of course, because there's no separation. What part it wants to know experientially, right? But it turns into importance or excess potential when it turns into desiring your desire versus choosing it. Do you see it? When you start needing it and wanting it from a place of separation and lack, you create that excess potential, you create that excess importance, and you swing between really desiring it to doubting it can ever happen. Right? That's big today. So, what's the key then? What's the key? What has she learned from manifesting from the vertical and mastering these opposites? The key is your higher self, your I am, desires nothing. Right? It already knows it knows itself already as complete and whole. So what is the real desire? It's the desire, the divine urge to know yourself as source. It's pure desire. It's natural. It's in the name of God, in the name of I am. It's desire without the resistance. It's the pure desire to know what you already know, right? As a truth within you, to experience in 3D reality. You're choosing to know what you know experientially. You're choosing with your higher self by increasing your awareness of your true nature, your I am. Right? That's the true meaning of rising in consciousness, or positivity, or vibration, or frequency. Or you're transmuting 3D desires into a choice to be and have what's already yours. Hear this. That's the whole thing. It's that greater awareness. That's what it means to be more positive, right? Higher degree of positivity or vibration or frequency is recognizing that you already are all that, right? Aspiring to that I am and then choosing to experience what you already know as an experience in 3D by choosing your desires, not desiring them. That's the true meaning of rising in consciousness or positivity or vibration or frequency. You transmute that 3D desire into a choice to be and have what's already yours. It's that idea of choosing that creates that conviction within, that you're the assumption of fulfillment, that it's already mine. You step into that identity of already being that person you want to be, already having what you want to have. You're no longer polarized or feel stuck by your desires. That's the law of polarity, swinging back and forth. You feel polarized, like nothing's moving, right? Nothing's happening. You're feeling the duality of those extremes, right? Remember, then as you transmute those desires, right? As you transmute that into a choice, then the extremes meet, right? Opposites meet. They meet and you unify your desiring with its fulfillment, right? Because remember, to desire it, the desirous state is to have it. In other words, in the desiring of it, the fulfillment's already there. The extremes meet as you make a choice, right? You're no longer swinging on that pendulum. You desire from the place within that desires nothing. Right? Because your inner self doesn't desire anything. Your higher self doesn't desire anything. It just has a divine urge to know itself as source, know itself as the all, know that it already has everything. It wants to have that knowing experientially by knowing that it doesn't need anything at all. It doesn't really desire anything. That's the paradox, right? This moves you beyond time and space. This moves you beyond swinging between the pendulum, between strongly desiring and then having doubt. You're no longer swinging and reacting to that pendulum, creating and recreating conditions or circumstances that are not your choice, that you would call unwanted. You're now manifesting from the sweet spot, the vertical. That's what it means to manifest from the I am vertical and transcend opposites. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, thank you. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for liking and sharing and commenting on the videos. Thank you for being part of our Facebook group, the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors, at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful, for joining us on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Kearin. Also for joining our membership channel. If you're a member, thank you for joining. If you're not, check it out. We have announced our 6th live stream in September. It's going to be on a Sunday. I think it's September 26th, Sunday morning at 9 a.m. in the morning live, right here from Las Vegas. We're going to answer your questions. Send your questions to info@besomethingwonderful.com. And we're also going to have another video that's coming for the membership channel. So be on the lookout for that. Creators, with great love, with great light and infinite gratitude, this is Tom with Be Something Wonderful in the studios here in Las Vegas. We'll see you soon.